anybody know about Jack?
No. You got dazed. I just saw somebody posting like, you guys cannot walk across the bridge. Like, no means no.
He crossed the bridge between a state trooper and city cops.
That's the guy who there.
I went up to Boy this morning. Yeah,
I had to go all the way around. I drove to water.
I played pickleball with Tom Box, and so he was telling me where to go. And then if I had sandbags, how to disinfect them. I didn't need that part.
Yeah, this guy was confusing enough to drive around on Clutter Street and close every.
Yeah.
I have a heck of a time with the way, you know, things go from Wagons to north, south.
Yeah. I think, where was it? The Main Street?
Branningham this morning. They closed it. I mean, you go across the, went around the barricades and went across the turn towards the IV and. Oh, he drove and then he got out of his truck and started walking away.
It's normal.
Hmm.
Which is open, right?
Branding habits, yeah.
Main Street is still closed.
The Main Street one. Has the water started receding? Do we know that?
Yeah.
It has.
I watched the updated, whatever was watched.
Still pretty high on it.
So that.
It's down about a foot.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Paying higher rent than everyone, maybe it's just across the road. It's,
The normal flood zone.
it's gotta be pretty significant rain event in my 5 square miles. That, you know, it's usually a day. It's just every other day it's up. I don't have any cows down there right now.
Gosh, this is coming. So,
Yeah, you're gonna have a warning.
Josh said it's coming, so hope so.
No, they talked to today.
Tara.
Here's my daughter and wife at happy hour. They sent me a picture.
Oh, nice.
Back in Tuesday.
Someone's enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Are they watching you live?
They have a lot of water.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's coming up pretty bad. Where we used to do a lot of boating with Cook Lake, it's really bad, North Sioux City.
Hmm.
Because the two rivers come together, the Big Sioux and the Missouri, and they're both really high.
There's like a Sioux Rock Falls or something like that.
Rock Valley got hit really hard.
I just saw a picture where it's a really beautiful landscape where it comes out, a few waterfalls through town, the river just flows through. Not so pretty right now.
Yeah.
How is it? Cluster of thunderstorms right on. Sunday.
It's got-
My hometown of Hayward, and they had this Big Sioux, that's the highest it's ever been, 39.5 feet. And so that was pretty.
Did they miss the 18 inches in one day deal?
That was just north of Canton,
Just-
so that was just north of Hayward. Where I grew up.
That's nuts. Yeah. We got 4. Friday night into Saturday. And that was enough.
There's car alarms going off out there, and I think somebody's trying to steal his car.
Oh, is that?
Oh, it's him.
That's why I said that, so.
So he's here, okay.
He's here. Shouldn't have heard that kid that keeps happening.
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on?
Just looking at the retro, the raid show likely tonight.
Mhm.
I saw that along with squall lines expected to move through a large portion of. Like right across and like. The cliff of the corner of the state, so we're kind of up, but.
And that's Spanish for like straight line, right? To go straight,
Gotcha.
because the clouds line up in a straight line and.
There's another one predicted for the end of July.
How come we go that far over?
Veterans Day. I don't know.
Those caterpillars, every.
Could be.
They don't.
We get one in the end of July. It will be a
At
very
least we're out of it, but
ugly situation. Because the corn and beans won't have any root system.
those be tall.
They'll be tall, but the roots won't be that deep and flow over and everything will be rotten.
Well, let's find the optimistic farmer and yield.
It's good for cattle farmers. Corn gets cheap. I planted corn this year too, so.
Get cattle and corn.
And grass is growing, but I can't get to it to cut it, 'cause it's always wet.
Well, I think the best old school farmer advice is you can't control it, Bruce, so. Find something you can control. Watch paint dry.
Can put a muzzle on my dad.
Why is he negative?
He's only living a half mile from my house. So
Oh,
he comes in all the time and he worries more than I do.
he's got things, he's got things to do.
Just take the panic button, turn it off. Oh, shoot.
Oh, no. Disconnect the battery if you want.
That would be
Exactly.
good.
We can take the battery off quick. That would stop us.
Looks like flooding.
Big. I was up in St. Ansgar yesterday and it is nasty up there. Yeah, they had a stretch of road up. Probably 5 miles north of the highway. Underwater for almost a month. That Halverson Park was completely underwater.
Hmm.
Where Spring Park is in Osage, the water's right up to the road and it was pushing dumpsters and over in. Right up.
Hmm.
No camper. Didn't see any campers in it.
You've ever been to Correctionville on Highway 20? So it kind of comes down a rolling hill. So I'm coming down the hill and it's just, all you can see is just water in all directions. And then they had the cops down there and as soon as I went through, my wife's like, I'm pretty sure they closed that road. And I'm like, well, they let me through, so. But not far off the road.
I think the bridge over there should be able to get there.
We can't. You're offered, you let the thief have it. I let him have it. Do this. Glad to get rid of it. Sets it off.
Is that what we have there? I never heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, so. Charles City Community School District. Board of Education meeting. Roll call.
President.
Coach.
Get into that. Board Member Fox.
Here.
Board Member Patrick.
Here.
Board Member Mac.
District vision. Mission state.
Give me a second, just pull it up here. I don't have this one memorized. Our mission, to challenge all students to achieve their full potential through engaging, responsive educational experiences that inspire innovation, critical thinking, and collaboration. Our vision, to develop learners who are competent, compassionate problem solvers. Our operating principles, information for one is information for all. No surprises, verify facts, think ahead, disagree, explain your thinking, and then commit.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
One second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments? Approve consent agenda action item.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Need a second? All in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
Committee reports. Facilities is the committee inside.
Yeah, that's it.
Facilities is continuing to work on developing plan for maintenance of high school infrastructure. Notice company has given us a bid for studying the mechanical electrical system high school. And gives an idea of what we have, where we stand with what we have, what we need for service and maintenance, and what in there would be reasonable for planning for the future as far as the placements concerned. That funding source also is going to be save, security, vision for education.
Yep.
The next item had to do with the kitchens of Washington High School. Hoods for the replace with pencil fire wood. I don't know what the exact time frame is on this. But we are getting bids, I believe, from a couple of different companies.
Yep.
And the process of
Got bids for the equipment, just not for the installations. So
for both companies or just one?
both, there's two different bids. One's significantly less than the other. One's about 24 and the other's 40.
Bids for the installation. Right. Once that is done, decision is when it's the best route to proceed with those. And then the other thing was the deductible buy down for property insurance. Insurance.
Yep.
And facilities committee felt that it was reasonable to buy down high school, middle school, not the Lincoln and Washington schools.
We'll go over modus and property insurance. You can do business. Please, sure. Modus came in quite a bit less. He originally thought it could go up to 24,000. They came out with 15.
Okay.
Interesting ones I have.
Jen presented ASP data and conditions of learning learning survey data. Brian was there to meet some community members. Brian, one community member did reach out to me and said that they apologized for it being somewhat negative, so I said, well, I think that's kind of the nature of.
Oh, no, I think she just offered some further thoughts. It's fine. It was good. I'm glad to hear from her.
Thank you. Administrator Director report. We have
No, no today.
superintendent report.
And then this is a bit of a recap of what I put in the update for Friday, but not much has happened since Friday, so I have to summarize it again here. So we had a great week last week, interviewing principal applicants. We had a nice panel of teachers, administrators, and some secretarial representatives from each of the respective buildings. Levi Miller came out our top high school recommendation, and so he's a dynamic, high-energy teacher down in Nashua, Plainsview. And really has done some neat things with Project Lead the Way, as a business teacher, marketing leader, computer science, and then a really successful coach for the kids down there. So really well respected member of the community, but he kind of blew the panel away. We had a few different applicants that maybe had a little more experience, but he really distinguished himself in that process. And I'm excited to work with him. We've been in touch multiple times since the interview. He will be released at their next board meeting, which is the first week in July. I believe it's next Monday or Tuesday. I should know that for sure. But then at our board meeting, the following Monday, we'll be able to hire him officially. And then in Lincoln, we're excited to welcome Chelsea Owen, who was the building's instructional coach and did a really nice job supporting teachers and has that experience working in the building already. She distinguished herself in that process. And so we're excited about that. Also, some other hiring. Last week I reported we had 13 openings and we were down to 7. Traditional teaching, that's teachers, special education teachers and counselors collectively. Part of that are recommendations. Some of the rest of that reduction in positions is due to working with principals as far as making sure we're cleaning up the postings and they shifted people into jobs to be efficient in their savings. So that's real positive that we've reduced the number of openings that we have. Going to keep working hard on that. And then this week, you'll notice there's an executive sum format that we're going to put our presentations into. So you clearly have a little summary of what it's about, what we're asking from the board, and then a clear funding source. And then we'll say it's an action item for the board or with a recommendation down below to maybe vote on something, approve something, or just informational. So we'll have all that in the little executive summary format, which I think is really going to help our leaders to make sure they have a budget in mind when they begin the process and then what they're asking of the board to clarify it. And then also we'll have a nice record of those kind of things, because we talked about even transportation. If we'd had a nice executive sum, I think that would have maybe been a little more clear in the original presentation earlier. So then really a lot of networking this week. I had a chance to attend Rotary, see the new Nyack facility, meet many community leaders. And then I saw many of those leaders when I went to the doubleheaders at the baseball and softball game. So that was a great week. I enjoyed watching our student athletes compete and really battle. And then I also had a chance to join the joint committee, which is the city manager, the mayor, the economic development, and then the hospital. And we all talk about things that are occurring. And of course, the hospital has some exciting things going on right now with their new construction. So I got a chance to learn about that. And then there's some neat things happening in the community. They're going to punch through past the hospital, and then there'll be some not low income, but affordable housing. So there's a range where you have to have an income, but they're going to put some units in there. And that's probably, I think, 2.5 years out for full construction, but they're excited by that and just waiting to hear the last pieces from the state to get that going. So that was exciting, and then to hear about some of the other things the city has going and coming online to kind of help meet some of the housing needs. But they really are working on it, because I think that's where we're going to see even more students. I know there's many people that come and work in Charles City and then they commute because of the housing challenges. And so I was really pleased to see the city working on it. It was an exciting week, a great week. I feel like I got to meet a lot of great people, and so that's my report.
And then Brian, when is the district closed on the 4th?
Yeah, the 4th and the 5th, I believe are the 2 days that the district is closed.
So nothing happened on those 2 days in the district.
Right.
Okay. Good.
As we move on to the new business, this is where we will you more about the dishwasher in Lincoln. There's one other thing that came up that needs replaced. Well,
Yes.
to replace that.
Do they know if that'll be installed before school starts?
Yes, we just have to prove it and get it in. We're waiting till after July first, so it goes on that. Next year's books.
This will come.
That would run with college. Yep. Yep.
There.
We do have extra.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the dishwasher.
You don't know your brand name.
No,
I'll second.
Is, did we say this was the equipment only, or this was equipment and so
Well, our staff will install it.
our staff will do
Yeah.
that? What happens to the old one?
I'm sure it's just scrap or.
That doesn't cost.
No.
Any further questions, discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. PLC implementation. This is something that we have heard about before. Earlier year.
That's good. So if I could just take, so just a second, okay. So with the PLC implementation, earlier in the year, the board approved that there be a PLC training. And as we're improving our process, we want to make sure we're putting the extra pay for staff in front of the board also. And so, a year from now, we would do that all at the same time. We're just trying to get a little better at that. So we wanted to bring forward the teachers that got extra pay, so that's very transparent in that process. And you'll see a similar request for extra pay for the weight room supervision, the work that those weight room coaches and athletic leaders are doing this summer, helping support kids. So those two extra pay provisions are really something that we would normally put ahead of the work. In this case, we're asking for the board's understanding that we're just trying to clean up our practices a little better with that extra pay out there to be transparent.
So then on that attachment on that PDF, that's where the recommendation is, the board of directors approves the extra duty.
Right, that's the executive summary format, and that's
Okay.
that's our recommendation.
Sounds good. I'll make a motion for the board of directors approve the extra duty pay associated with the PLC training on June 4th and 5th.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay. Personnel report.
Make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
Any discussion? No. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And we're back to facility, Q for notes.
Yeah.
This will be,
So Brian, this was the format that you are now suggesting for, yeah, I noticed, I didn't know if that was just
Yeah.
specific to this project, but I like the format of that. Sorry, David, I didn't mean to kind of. You guys mentioned the secure and advanced vision for education save funding source. Mentioned local, what is that?
It's funded by the local option sales tax, the extra 1% they put in.
So I guess one of the questions I have is, you had some of this that was done several years ago, and then there's some thoughts around that the recommendations that they put forward that the school didn't take them into place. So this comes back with recommendations. What's our strategy?
my strategy is when you evaluate the strategy, because I assume they're gonna make sense. And if they do make sense, that we we authorize Jerry to develop a plan in his budget, time and resources for 1 to 5 years. What needs done yearly, what needs done in the near future, what needs done in 5 years. And have an ongoing process where we are maintaining this equipment that we have.
In the event we don't have that funding, we're gonna look at a bond.
That's what it
Well,
comes to.
we'll see what the cost is.
Yeah.
Right.
The nice thing about this plan, if you read through here, there is a portion in there where they're willing to help us design a budget plan to obtain some of these services, what's systematically more high need type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but there's still a limit budget, like, if they say, well, this is what you need to spend to make that work.
Right,
you have to have funding.
I think we're all on the same page. If it comes to the point that we have no other option, that we have to come with a 5 million or an 8 million or 10 million type bond. That's what we have. I think we're all on the same page. We're just trying to avoid some of that or get it narrowed down to do it more systematically. And less culture shock to the community, I guess. And we did have some of this information, as you mentioned, from the ICAD or whatever it was called. before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one.
It was,
2015 was last one.
yeah, I think
That's
it was 6 years ago when I figured it out. Each one was 6 years apart and we're due again. It's been about 6 years, so. It just kind of filled in there and this gives us a more systematic approach to exactly what we want to evaluate instead of the grand total.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing it, I'm just,
Right.
spending money to give us data that says, yep, the system that we looked at 6 years ago is now 6 years older and still needs the maintenance that you haven't done or can't afford. It's a waste.
Difference is that this will come in and evaluate exactly the system we want to be evaluated and looking at having dual boilers versus just taking a analytical numbers approach. They'll be hands-on to tell us, have they aged the way they're anticipated or have they aged faster or slower? We have more years than we think. In an optimistic approach, they're going to tell us we have a little more time to make the repairs than an analytical would make. I'll make a motion to approve moving forward with notice.
So, maybe I'm just, there's 15,475, right? So. Travel is required, so. So it looks like travel is included in this cost. Is that correct? Page 2, like the very last paragraph on compensation.
I guess my other question, not related, but the last time Jerry presented on this, it made it sound like this was a company that like, he did need a company like this to go forward with any plans regardless of what. So I guess I would just like that clarification. Like whether he under, I mean,
So I can tell you from personal experience, so when I worked at NIAC, we did 3 capital projects and notice was the engineering fund. They do a great job, they're very competent, they really know their stuff. And they, in my experience with them, from a budget perspective, they're very conscious of what things cost, and then how to do them in the most effective use of resources that we can choose. Right? Some things you like, this is what it costs, if this is what you want, this is the only way to do it that way. That's it. So that was my experience.
not like skimping, but like being realistic.
I wouldn't say that they scam. But I wouldn't say that they are lavish or luxury. That's how I'd say. I would say that they are, this is how you want it done. This is what it's going to cost to do it this particular.
I guess the way Jerry explained it was that we would need an engineer firm,
Yeah, that's what they,
but I think he couldn't just like do that. So like we would need,
yeah, I mean, I think they probably, David and Bruce might know better, but they probably have experts in. Plumbing. That's their specific area of expertise versus Jerry, who's kind of a generalist. Yeah. Right. I guess.
And that's why when we first came with this proposal, there was multiple phases, the air handlers and all that stuff. And we kind of trimmed all that stuff off, the septic system or sewer system. All that stuff got trimmed off because we trust Jerry to handle all that stuff. But this was the area that with the boilers, he thought he could get the most benefit out of. And he'd really like to know exactly where we stand.
So there, I mean, they're still talking about air. It's under scope of work, page 1, general evaluation of air conditioning, service, cafeteria, kitchen and floor. So
So that's where Jerry would definitely need them to be able to figure the square footage and the size of the building and how the air gets handled.
sure,
They have to be involved to get that. engineering scope. He can't. He could try and take a contractor's word for it, but it also becomes a sales pitch.
well, right, and it would be if I don't have a contractor that's done something with storage, and maybe we do, but most likely.
but isn't this also the same thing where he said we can like negotiate what we're willing to pay?
Right.
So
And
then
that's what we
they're
did.
telling us 15 and, or we were told them 15.
I think. I think.
They gave us the scope originally for this portion. We negotiated from the 3 portions down to we can do without these pieces. They told us it was gonna be between 5 and 25,000.
Right.
And they came in, when they actually looked at just this section of the project, they put that.
But then remember, because I
He did
asked,
say we can, that's the beauty of the RFQ is we can work back and forth if we wanted to try and shave some more out of that. But to get exactly this scope of work, that's what. So you could go in and say, I don't need you to do this, or I don't need you to do this portion, and they could take a couple $1,000 off. But for what we're looking for as a facilities committee, that's. We can try and negotiate it. It's,
well, I mean, I just remember Jerry saying like the way it was presented was like, you just tell them, here's what we're willing to, we're able to spend, and then it's not like it's a cheap option and an expensive option, it was just like, here's what we're able to do for that money.
Well, yeah, if we went and told them we have $8,000 to spend, we wouldn't get all of that.
right, they can,
$8,000.
if you go back and say, we're willing to spend 8 or 10 or whatever, they'll say, we'll give you these 3 line items for that, that's it. Or they can go much further. We always have that option. We're not locked into it. Until we agree to what they're
This is their plan or Jerry's plan?
combination. They work with Jerry to come up with this. Jerry gave them this list of what we want to have done, the scope of the project. Services you'd like to see involved.
I mean, I want to keep things going forward, but I also feel weird making a decision without Jerry here to answer our questions.
Jerry wouldn't have sent this to us if he didn't.
He was very comfortable, I think.
Very.
Shared.
Ryan, do you have any read on the situation? Or what your recommendation would be?
No, I think it's wise to find out the life expectancy of these pieces of equipment. And so that we can plan for the next 5 years on that cycle of replacement, what needs to happen sooner or later. And this comes from that 1 cent sales tax, the save money. So it's not gonna impact the general fund.
And would it impact his facilities?
You're not budgeted.
So I did ask Jerry last week when we were trying to set up a committee meeting. I said, Jerry, do you have any key comments you think we should review, or does it seem straightforward? I trust your experience in judgment here. His response was, it is a straightforward contract. It lists the items they are doing and give the price for doing the evaluations. I also like the part that says they will try to lay things out to fit our budget for each year.
And in 5 years, we'll have an increase in sales tax, say dollars. So if something was on the far end of life expectancy and we could stretch it, if that was wise, we'd have more than.
Nate, second.
I'll make a motion to second notice. RFQ.
Made and seconded to approve the RFP for Modus engineering. Is presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Weight room supervision pay.
I'll make a motion to approve the extra duty pay associated with the summer strength and conditioning program supervision not to exceed $5,500. Including FICA, that's FICA and IPERS for the summer of 2024.
Motion made and seconded to approve the weight room supervision pay. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Property insurance contract. This is what was recommended to us at the last board meeting. Was insurance company recommended that the buy down for the school middle school would make economic sense. Washington. He did not feel would.
Make a motion to approve the buy down. Property insurance contract.
I guess the one question I have is if it's a 21% year-over-year increase. How do you fund that?
That comes from management.
Okay.
Yep, and so next year we'll have to look at raising, like, we'll have to start raising it, you know.
Okay. All right, that's all. Thank you. I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the property insurance contract buy down for the high school, middle school. Further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Policy reviews, we did not have any policy reviews this last 2 weeks. Board comments.
I have one. I think it would be good for us to do a feedback of the food service for this year. So we did a new contract last year. It'd be nice to hear feedback from students, parents, and staff on what they liked, what they didn't like, things to improve on, you know, just kind of general feedback. And I don't know if that's a survey or if that's we ask, 5 kids from each grade to come talk to us, whatever that looks like. But just to get some feedback, because I know one of the things that they mentioned. Is that they have they're really in touch with students and staff about what they do. And they had some options of like some of the places they worked at, like a cafe where it was like a coffee and bagel place. That's probably exactly what it was, but it was like that very low cost option for people to purchase anyway. They could get some revenue. It's easier for students and staff to get some that offer as part of breakfast for lunch. So I think we offer coffee, do we? No. I don't think so. Well, maybe we do. Yeah. So that's just one thought.
Even after they presented, remember they came and presented and then they're like,
Yeah, I'm talking about like actually doing something, which is. And the other thing, just a thank you to the district for allowing baseball, youth softball, specifically tonight to use the Lincoln field. Because
I think the varsity feels.
I see fields are underwater, and so
Sportsman's law.
sportsman's underwater, so there's just not a lot of other options, so. Good that we have that. So. It's good news.
Share the resources.
Yep, that was good.
To thank you. Using the fields of Lincoln for the community.
Yeah.
The Little League.
And then the only other thought is, this is maybe a future conversation, so, we play a lot of youth, sports, specifically soccer on college ground fields. They could really use, leveling out or just flattening. And I don't know if that's a district expense, I mean, it's mostly used by the Y and the city, so maybe there's a partnership opportunity, but field is really bumpy and it's very meaty, so.
Probably nothing been done with that for decades.
They just leveled the building, so it's been.
Yeah, they leveled the building and then they took out the track.
Plus one. Tracks gone.
Yeah, so I think they just did those two things, but it would be nice if we kind of. Put some.
I guess what I mean, with the grassy part of it.
Oh,
nothing's
I don't-
been done with that.
Not since the whole.
Long time. So might be 2%.
And it's been exhausted.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I got it. Second.
Thank you, everyone.
There you go.
To pick up a lot of sports ones last night, they came by, some people came by and it could
Oh,
It's pretty neat.
I think it's underwater now.
Yeah, it was late night pickleball last night, that was pretty nice.